How many times have you thought to yourself, maybe my balls are a little bit too big, maybe they're a little bit too round, maybe they're a little bit too full? How many times have you thought to yourself, wow, I wish they didn't dangle so low or get in the way of things that I wanted to do? If you've thought this before, like many, many poor Americans have, then we have the product for you. We came out with this new scientific formula called S23, designed specifically to shrink your balls into raisins. And if you take enough of it, we guarantee that it'll stick your balls and put them right back up into your pelvis where they belong. And do you know how much this costs? It's just for the low price of $59.99. So if you need your balls shrank, if they've been in the way, if you just need to solve this recurring problem that so many Americans suffer, you just look down below, you dial that number, and for $59.99, you too can have a pair of raisins. Okay, guys, I hope you got a little bit of kick out of that. You had a laugh. So really quick, we're going to talk about S23, which is one of the SARMs. We're going to talk a little bit about the actual side effects because we introduced those first. Then in part 2, we'll talk a little bit about what the SARM was originally for. And then in part 3, we'll talk about actually what it'll do for your body, okay? So, just really quick. When I mentioned the shrinking balls, I'm actually kind of serious. The one thing I've noticed from talking to people who've used it, whether they're 18 or whether they're in their 40s or 50s, the one recurring theme seems to be they get a little bit of shrinkage. It's not really serious. It doesn't seem to affect their sex drive. It doesn't seem to affect their energy at all. In fact, S23 is so much like a testosterone replacement that you actually feel really good on it. But you do notice that their balls tend to shrivel up and retract a bit. However, that seems to go away within 2 or 3 days of stopping taking S23, even if they weren't taking a PCT. So that's actually a pretty good thing. Okay, so what was S23 originally designed for? Well, believe it or not, since the beginning of time, when men and women first started banging each other, they've sought some way not to have kids from random encounters, right, as a form of birth control. And some of the things they've experimented over the years is testosterone. So years and years and years ago, they used to give testosterone ethanoate to men in Europe to see if it would actually make them less fertile, and it would work. But for some reason, it didn't really take off. I don't know why. And recently, they started using testosterone, I think undecanate, I could be wrong though, a different kind of testosterone in China to see if it would make men less fertile, and that did work. And apparently, they're starting to use that more. So next 10 years, we can probably expect a lot of really, really big Chinese men that aren't having kids. If that took off here, you'd see a lot of really guys going from the gym going, "Doctor, I really don't want to have children. Really, 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 really." And it's an important thing because if you think about it, most men and women since the beginning of time have known one thing. The universe hates you and it has a sense of humor. So if you're a man and you get a girl pregnant in some random encounter, it's not going to be the love of your life or some heir of like some shipping fortune. It's going to be a piece of trash with some serious, serious psychological issues, which is probably the reason why she had risky sex with you anyway. And you're going to be stuck with her for the next 24 years dealing with restraining orders and police visits. And in fairness, the same thing for women. If women have a random encounter because of a bad decision and she gets pregnant, it's never the love of her life either, or Prince Charming. It's usually some guy with a pill addiction and no job, low prospects, and a nightmarish problem that you're going to have for the next 18, 20 years. Okay, so again, that's the reason why birth control has become so important. So we have the testosterone. And okay, so the reason why they developed S23 was to prevent men from having kids, and it seemed to work. It seemed to lower fertility. But the nice little side effect from your point of view, and we're going to now segue into part 3, is that it tends to make you leaner, harder, and a little bit bigger, a denser kind of look. Now, one of the things I talked about a little bit with SARMs before was sometimes it's not a clear-cut difference in what they do because they're not that strong. Do you mean? So the difference is not that high. So what I'm going to tell you about S23, it seems to make you not quite as big as the Rad 140, but it seems to make you denser and harder than the Rad 140 is. And definitely less watery than the LGD would be, and therefore denser and harder than that. I've heard it compared to Mastron before, but I don't know that I would compare it to Mastron. I think that would be for people that haven't really seen what Mastron does for other people. So if you're looking for density, hardness, with the only side effect being a possible bit of a shrunken ball, but not affecting your sex drive, then S23 might be what you want to try. So any questions that you might have in the comments, please put that in. I'll try to answer them as best I can. That's all I have for you. Talk to you soon. Bye.